If there is one reason people were waiting Baizhu for, it's because of his potential synergy with Cyno. The chief policeman of Sumeru has been in a controversial spot in the meta ever since his release, and to this day, the debate is still rampant regarding his actual placement. Ever since he got announced, Baizhu has been proclaimed by several hopeful Cyno mains as a potential savior for the character. While I wasn't in the group of people that believed Cyno needed saving, in my pre-release videos I highlighted how the synergy between these two characters could actually pave the way for a very interesting and advantageous team setup. Specifically, in this video I'll address how Cyno can benefit from Baizhu on his Quickbloom teams. The reason I never thought Cyno needed saving is that his Quickbloom teams have been quite decent for long before Baiju's release, thanks to a double Electro core initially, and the nifty Chaos teams more recently. Cyno found in Quickbloom a team concept that could hide his weaknesses. In particular, since it's a build where about 50% of Cyno's damage comes from his Hyperbloom triggers, the composition reduced his existential flaw of not having any great support that could increase his damage significantly. Quickbloom wasn't without flaws, however, as some of Cyno's structural issues plagued this core as well. Above all, the absurd length of his damage window made him inconsistent in multi-wave scenarios, as his main partner, Nahida, needs to re-enter on field in those cases to apply her elemental skill on the new targets, an action that would cause Cyno to lose all of his remaining burst uptime. This flaw of his is what got people thinking about adding a second off-field Dendro to the team, specifically one that wouldn't need to go on field again to maintain his Dendro application active. The first choice was Dendro main character, who could do a quite nice job, but couldn't replicate the survivability factors characters like Cookie or Toma can contribute to on other Quickbloom variants. The second choice was Yao Yao, a solid Dendro healer that was sadly penalized by the fact her off-field application didn't last long enough for it to make an impact in multi-wave. Baizhu is the most recent guinea pig, so let's see how he stacks up to others. To begin with, Baizhu comes with an off-field elemental burst whose duration and application is eerily similar to Dendro main characters, but with the advantage that it follows you around like Shincho's burst, which makes it more comfortable for the dreaded multi-wave scenarios. On top of that, Baizhu also provides quite nice reaction damage bonuses for both Quicken and Hyperbloom related damage, two sources Cyno can fully benefit from on Quickbloom. Thirdly, his healing per rotation is superior to Yao Yao in a strictly off-field role, and the 6 fragile shields per rotation he can create can contribute to a quite sturdy interruption resistance for Cyno if combined with other interruption resistance supports like Shincho. The result is that, aside from whether Baizhu actually fixes Cyno's multi-wave issues or not, we've at least found a best-in-slot option for the double Dendro variant of Quickbloom. If up until now you've been wondering, how can Cyno use his elemental burst every rotation on a team without a second Electro? The answer is the Thundering Fury set and some energy recharge substats, obviously. In fact, on a 26 or 27 seconds long rotation, Cyno can use his elemental skill 7 times throughout the entirety of it, which makes his energy requirements fall all the way down to 130%, granted you have some Favonius weapons on the team. Alternatively, you can opt for a shorter 25 seconds long rotation with one less elemental skill, and increase Cyno's energy to 140%, which is actually a more realistic outlook since it's not that common for a wave of opponents to last long enough for Cyno to use all the elemental skill he needs. The other big doubt here is, Yelan or Shincho in the Hydro spot? In a team like this, where you get a lot of Dendro application, it's hard to dispute Shincho's advantages, since he undoubtedly allows you to get the highest amount of possible blooms. The quicken uptime on the composition will generally be in the 80% range in single target, which is more or less what you get with Chaos teams. Artifacts wise, Baizhu can pretty much hold anything you want, with Ocean Clam being the best theoretical option, but not a must since it's not particularly impactful to begin with. If you want to give him your best HP artifacts, that's also fine. In practice, the team pretty much plays out like a comfy variant of other Quickbloom teams. It won't shock you in terms of damage, but maybe it will because of how uncharacteristically immortal it will make your Cyno feel. In fact, while Cookie and Thoma can be acceptable defensive options in tandem with Xingqiu, I legitimately feel like it's possible to play the Baizhu variant with a blindfold on. In terms of single target damage, the composition also stacks up incredibly well to Chaos and Double Electro teams, but as I said in some past videos I made, the other teams have advantages in terms of front load that can't really be quantified in a general way. As opposed to them, the front load on this team is basically non-existent, since you only really start doing damage once Cyno goes on field. In particular, in the team rotation I would refrain from using normal attacks to trigger Xingqiu Rain's wards before Cyno goes on field. On other teams, that's a valuable way to create seeds that will be triggered by either Thoma or Cookie, but in the Double Dendro team, where there is no second trigger, you'll just be creating seeds whose explosions won't matter, as Cyno will certainly trigger more than 2 Hyperblooms in a single instance with his first attack. But now, the big question, does Baizhu fix Cyno in multi-wave? The answer is mostly negative. While Baiju's burst can help Cyno retain some of his potential damage in those scenarios, his off-field burst will last for just around 11 or 12 seconds of Cyno's field time window, so odds are it will end before you manage to kill a wave. Even in this scenario Baizhu manages to apply Dendro on opponents in a second wave, the amount of damage lost from the lack of Nahida in those actions will still be quite significant. So overall, I wouldn't even consider Baizhu a band-aid fix for this specific Cyno issue. Still, the other positive elements remain. This Double Dendro version of the team can allow Cyno to have pretty great offensive performance while making it almost impossible for him to die. If that sounds interesting for you, then adding Baizhu to your box is an option you have to consider. I'm done for today. As always, if you enjoyed the video, leave a thumbs up and subscribe. See you next time!